Hi everyone, welcome to Tom's Manshed. Okay, this is another Grinnall Scorpion linked video, but it's also will be of use, hopefully, to anybody with a standard BMW K series motorbike. As you know, or as you may not know, the engine, gearbox and rear drive for the Grinnall Scorpion kit car are all off the K series BMW bikes. The flying bricks, as they were known. The later Scorpions used the K40 engine, but all the earlier ones, like mine, used the K series engine. And this is the instrument cluster from the bike, which is used in the car. And recently, you may have noticed I've been doing a few upgrades to my Scorpion, fitting extra things like a water temperature gauge, an dual air temperature gauge, and a voltmeter. Now, during all these tests for them videos, it's been ticking over a lot of time, been running things, testing temperatures and everything. And one of the times it was ticking over, I noticed that when I revved it, the voltmeter didn't go up, so it wasn't charging. When I measured the battery, it was 10 volts, and I tried to start it straight after, and it was so indeed the battery had gone dud, so it hadn't charged during that thing. And when I turned the ignition on, I noticed the ignition light wasn't coming on. Now, this ignition light, from reading tons and tons of K1100 Facebook groups and forums and things, this ignition light, as it is with quite a lot of cars and bikes, the bulb is not just an indicator bulb to say it's charging or not. That bulb being intact is an integral part of the charging circuit. So the charging circuit uses the resistance of the bulb, and it's a 3-watt standard filament bulb with a certain resistance, say 50 ohms or whatever. And it uses that, the engine management and the brain uses that to excite the charge circuit to say, hey, I need the battery charging. If that bulb goes, evidently the bike or the car won't charge. Now, it seems a strange situation, but evidently it's quite common in a lot of cars. Like I say, you turn the ignition switch on, all the lights light up, you start the engine up and the lights go out. But like I say, it is important that that bulb is working for the charge circuit to work. So I tried it after this. This is a weird thing when you try to do the things. It only did it that once, the stopping charging bit. Once I charged the battery up with a standard battery charger, it was then okay, even with the ignition light not working. So I'll just show you now, me turning the ignition on and the light doesn't come on, starting the engine, and it is actually charging. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, so I'm sat here, I'm about to turn the ignition on, and when you turn the ignition on, the two red lights, the two at the top, the two red ones at the top would normally come on, the oil light and the ignition light. The one underneath it, the temperature light, I'm not too sure about whether it comes on ignition turn on or not. But this video is just about the ignition light, so we're concentrating on that. So that's the top right of them four. The yellow one is the choke. So when I turn it on, that ignition light should come on. If that bulb fails, all the consensus of opinion in all the Facebook groups on the K1100 engine, the K series engines, are that if that bulb fails, it won't charge the car. The alternator won't come on because it's the filament has gone in the bulb. And yet, if we watch, when I turn my ignition on, so that's the ignition on, there's no lights lighting up apart from the choke light, which I'm pulling manually here. So according to that, if that bulb has gone, when I start the engine, it shouldn't charge, and yet you'll see it actually does. So let's just start the engine. That's the immobiliser I've just pressed. Start the engine now. I will turn on my voltmeter, which I fitted in a previous video. Have a look at the clip above for that, and you'll see that is charging. If I rev it, that shoots right over to 13, 14 volts or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with the charger. We've had that all out, the alternator. That's charging perfectly. And yet the red light didn't come on the dash when we turned the ignition on. So we're going to take that instrument cluster out now and check the connections to that and all the bulbs. So, as you see, the light wasn't on, and yet it did still charge. So I thought, well, how can this be when I've read that you have to have that bulb working? So all I can think is, with it being, and also the oil light doesn't come on either. That's supposed to come on when you turn the ignition on and then go out once it's running. So I'm thinking, are a couple of bulbs blown or what? So I have taken out the instrument panel, and first of all I'll show you how to do that on the Scorpion. It's a lot easier on the bike because it's easy to get. On the Scorpion, you're under the nose cone and your arms reach to reach it. Now, as you'll see shortly, the longest extension piece I had for my socket driver and 10mm socket, the 10mm nuts under there, wasn't long enough. I had to borrow another. So I'll just show you that now, and I'll show you the position of them, of the 4 bolts and the centre plug, and more of that soon. That was an absolute little pig. Details are not soon, but let's have a look at them now and in situ and how you get at it. So to gain access to the 4 bolts that hold the instrument cluster on and the multi-pin plug, it's just to the right of the brake fluid reservoir there and between that centre post. So if you put your really long extension piece on your socket spanner and ratchet handle, you can see the 4 bolts there. The bottom left has got that copper washer on, one above that and one to the right, and you'll see there the big square rectangular multi-pin plug with the little bolt in the middle that was the absolute pig. That top, when I was trying to do it, that top surface sheared off, and the bolt, as you can see, is inset into the hole, so you can't grip it from the outside. And I had an absolute pig trying to get it out. I'll show you now in a second how I actually got it out, but that's the location. 4 bolts are reasonably easy to get at. So this is the length of socket reach extension pieces you'll need. As you can see below there, that's my set, the highly chromed ones, and even with 2 extension pieces you can see it's a pretty complete set. But the size spanner you need, the handle for a 10mm thing, I just had the 2 extension, all the others one for a higher. I even tried one out of that, couldn't get enough, so I had to go next door to my neighbour Les and borrow them. So yeah, that's the sort of length that you'll need, one of them really long ones to reach them sockets from under the nose cone. So as you saw there, they're pretty deep in on the Scorpion. Like I say, on the bike that'll be a lot easier to get at because it's right there, but the right way in. And I found that you need something that long. It helps as well if you've got an extension piece that the socket can wobble on, one of them with the wobbly end, because the nuts to one side, the bolts to one side, are a bit of an angle. So I'll just measure that. That's the sort of length you're going to need. That's like sort of 17 inches from the socket to the driver here. But like I said, the main problem was getting them out. Once you got that extension piece was easy. They come out, just loosen them and then you can get your arm in. You do get a few sort of like cuts on that, put it in, but wear a long sleeve or whatever. Them nuts come out easy. But that central plug that goes on, the multi-pin plug at the back, like I say, was an absolute pig. I think it had some sort of like hexagonal, like an Allen key type screw in it. And I tried to get it out with an Allen key, and it seemed to start turning at first, and then like a wafer thin bit of it just sort of fell off the front. And the whole bolt is recessed under the surface. So if you've got like a rounded hole there, there's no way you can get a drill in to drill it out. Absolutely no way. Even dangling it out of on the wires under the windscreen of the Scorpion, you can't get anything to get it out. It's just too near the windscreen. So at this stage, it's sort of like getting Sunday tea time. I'm due to be picked up for my Sunday quiz by my mate Mark soon. And I thought, well, the only way I'm going to get this out is by cutting the wiring loom. Cut the wiring loom, that'll allow me to take the entire instrument cluster out with the socket still attached, and then I can get it on the bench and start trying to properly get it out. But there's like 19 I think I counted 19 wires there, and there's some that are a single colour. There's one red, there's one grey, there's one black, but there's something like 3 blues, 2 purple, 4 browns, 4 yellows. It'd be a nightmare to join them all back together. So I got to getting the masking tape out and labelling them there and there. Yellow 1, yellow 1. And then the other yellow one, yellow 2, yellow 2. So that when I snipped them, I knew which bits to join. And I thought, tomorrow I'm going to have a heck of a job snipping all these, getting the soldering iron under there and resoldering with heat shrink back together, all this lot. So overnight I slept tonight and thought, oh, there must be a way. So I used one of these little splined type, the sort of things, just of the right size. And that was a tight fit in the hole that was left. And I just managed, by pushing a T-bar holder for this as hard as I could, I just managed to get it going. Like I say, with being inset, you couldn't even grip anything on the outside, and thank goodness the thing came out. I've since replaced it, I'll show you later under the bonnet, with a normal bolt with a hexagonal head that sticks out so that I can easily get a socket on. But yeah, I got the thing out, but even after getting it out, trying to pull the plug off the back, it was unbelievably tight. I thought, I don't believe this. And it sets in like a shroud, so you can't even really get a screwdriver to try to lever it out. I tried that. I even tried putting a right angle bend on a piece of copper pipe so I could try and get it out. I thought, this thing is just going to beat me. But then I thought, no, it ain't going to beat me. And I kept thrutching and pulling. Obviously, you don't want to damage any wires. And I pulled at the bottom, and finally it came out. I thought, oh, God, for that. Anyway, it was out, and we got the instrument cluster out. When I put it back, I'm putting a thin film of silicone grease around there. I'll show you later. And that other bolt, and it should be okay next time. I've had it out before, years ago, when I did the LEDs, like I said, I'll be going into that. But this time it was a pig. So anyway, we got it out. So just before I actually show you taking the unit apart and replacing the bulbs, I'll show you what I mean by them wires. You'll see all the little labels on. Luckily, as you know, I didn't actually have to do it. While I was doing it, it started raining as well. But just have a look at this for a heavy rainstorm. I'm only in a pokey little garage. Half the car is in, half the car is out. So the tail's getting wet. That doesn't matter. I'm dry. But just look at the state of this rain. So this is me labelling all the wires. Yellow 1, yellow 2, brown 1, brown 2, each side of where I'm going to cut them. Maybe wondering what that noise is. Well, that's the weather. So once you've got it out, I thought, is it an intermittent fault on the bulb or whatever? So I had to take it out to investigate. I'm going to renew all the bulbs inside. Now I'll show you what they are. There are all these screws around here. You take all them off, including the one there at the bottom of the multi-pin socket plug. You don't need to take these off. These here, where it holds on the back of the dash on the Scorpion or your bike frame, you don't need to take them off, as you'll see. So once you've got all them off, this back just comes off. Now there's no ribbons. I took it off dead gently, thinking there might be something connected, but there's nothing connected to that whatsoever. And you can see there the brackets that hold the mounting bolts. So you can put that to one side. Now when you take it out, you may find a couple of bags of this silica gel desiccant. This absorbs moisture. You know the stuff you get it with cameras. I get it. I've got loads of this with the 3D printing filament. And I can't remember whether this was in from the manufacturers or I put it in last time I had this out. But there was a couple of bags of that in. And I don't have much misting up problems because they are known, these, for condensation forming on the inside and misting up. I only have a bit of problem with that. So when I put it back, I'm going to put them two and another two in. I'm going to put like 4 bags of desiccant in there. So once you've got it out, these ones round the edge, where are we? So this one in the middle, the bigger one, this one in this corner, these two at the top are all the green backlight LED bulbs. Now, many years ago, I renewed them for LEDs. I sent off for a kit. I forget where it was. It's a long time ago. It's probably 10 years ago I did this. And it was a kit of these 5 LEDs. Now, all they do, all these black bulb holders, which are all the same, whether they're LED or filament type lamps, just like push fit, like wiggle out. So if you just grab it with your fingers, pull it gently, it makes contact with this plastic sort of flexible circuit board ribbon thing. So be careful when you're pulling it out. But you'll see on there, that is an LED. That is one of the ones I replaced. Now, LEDs will only work one way round. So when you're putting it back, have it connected, if you're not sure which way around to push this back in, and they are LEDs, or you're replacing the bulbs with LEDs, temporarily plug it in, and as you plug that in, you'll see it start glowing or not start glowing. If it doesn't, just turn it round and pop it in the other way, because they'll go in from both ways. And that just pops in there like that. So like I say, I've replaced these many years ago with LEDs. If you haven't, you'll find they are still the incandescent bulb type. So this one in the middle is different. It's a different LED. It's a bigger one. Again, pulls out just the same. Like wobbles out. And you can see that's a much bigger one. It's got like LEDs coming out the front and the sides, and they're the contacts there. So that just goes in there, and again just pushes in, and the LED pops out and falls inside. So luckily I just shook it up and it did come out. So that's the LEDs you get it in the kit. And that just shoves it in there like that. and then push it in, probably holding it like that, like I should have done, like that. So the ones I'm going to replace, I've sent off for a set from Amazon. This is a set I've sent off for. I got these here, Osram 2821 original lamps with glass wedges, set of 10 for 10 quid, which works out at £1 each. Now, I could have got much cheaper ones. There's a set there of 10 for £5.99, and there's also a set of 10 there for £4.49. But yeah, for the minute there, looking at 10 pieces for £3.99. But I didn't want to risk it on a cheaper bulb with it being such a pig to get at, so I went for these Osram original. It says original equipment quality, so that's them. Pack of 10. I'll need actually 9. So I'm still waiting for them to arrive. They should be here later today. So meanwhile, we're starting making this video. So they're going to replace all the warning lamps. I'm going to replace the whole lot, and there's 9. So if you count, you've got your 1, 2, 3 down here. That's your high beam, this centre one which I can't remember, your neutral, your 4 ones here, temperature, battery, choke and oil. Not sure what this fuel one is on, whether it's in being used on the Scorpion. I don't think it is, but I'm going to renew them all. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've got 9 of them, so that set of 10 will be okay. I have tested the bulbs. I've took it out and I've connected it to a battery, the one on the ignition, and the bulb is fine. So I'm going to renew them all anyway. It'd be daft not to. While I've got it in bits, I might as well renew the whole lot. So I don't have to wait for the new ones to come to show you, but this is what they're like. They're just that push-in type. There you can just see the loops of wire over the glass. And these are called, as you'll see on them, a W3W. Just see it on there. W3W bulb, 12 volts, 3 watts. And like I say, that just goes in its holder, pushes in there like that. And it's just a push fit in the circuit board. Now I am also going to clean with contact cleaner all the copper traces in here. Now I'm not going to spray it in because it'll find its way through to the back of the Perspex front panel, and I don't want that. So I'm going to spray some of this contact cleaner in a little dish, and I'm just going to get a cotton bud or something and clean inside all these and make sure all connections are clean. I've wire brushed this as well and put contact cleaner on and toothbrushed it on. They're all really clean. Now the only two different ones are the indicator ones, the ones at the top for the left and right and your hazard warners. And if you look, they're a different fitting. So again, they just wobble out. You've got to take this spade terminal off, or if you can get it out with that on, it's not a bad idea because it can be awkward. But that just pulls off, but it pulls this connecting ribbon with it, and you may have to like tuck it back in the clip and push it on to make contact. It can be a bit awkward. But if I take that out now, I'll do it on the desk. And then. So I managed, let's see on there, oops. I managed to get it out. And it just pushes in. You can see the way the ribbon is held onto it there. And as you see, that's a different sort of bulb holder, and it's a bayonet fitting, this one. So there, you can see the holder, and it's a bayonet fitting bulb. That just pops in there. So again, I'm going to replace them, and that just pops in there like that. And I'm going to replace them with these, which have arrived from Amazon. And again, I'll show you these now on Amazon. Again, there's these. I could have got 10 for $3.99, but the ones I went for are these Bosch ones. Again, original equipment quality, it says. We've got to trust them. They might even be copies, I don't know, but yeah, £4 for them too. So as you saw, both of them I ordered. There were cheaper alternatives, but I thought, you know, I might as well order the genuine ones. Well, I mean, they say genuine, don't they? You never know whether they're fakes or not, but you can but trust them. So I paid like £10 for the 10 genuine Osram ones, and as you saw there, I think they were like £4 for them too. So could have got them a lot cheaper, but £14 for the full set. Now there is also these as a set. Like I say, I renewed all the backlight, the green LEDs years ago, but not the warning bulbs. But if you look at this on eBay now, as you see, there's the instrument panel. There is this set on eBay, which is a full set. If you look down here at the description, 4 green instrument bulbs. So mine used 5, one at each corner and the big one in the middle. 10 warm white warning bulbs, 2 green indicator warning bulbs, but plug and play, no modifications required. Now, like I say, mine 10 years or so ago, and I've searched and searched, and I can't find it. I can't remember who I got it from, but it wasn't eBay or Amazon. It was direct from him, I think, and he put together the kit with a set of instructions and everything. But it was just, as I pointed out, this big one in the middle that I dropped inside just then, and that one, and that one. So how that one goes on, that kit I just showed you on eBay, with the measuring the resistance, this starting circuit business, I don't know, because has that LED got the same resistance as a bulb? Will the engine management, the brain of the bike, still do this, excite the charge circuit with that LED? I don't know. You'd have to try it yourself, and if it didn't work, just leave that one as a normal incandescent bulb. But like I said, I've just sent off for the bulb set, so once they come, I'm going to be swapping all them. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in and check the light comes on and it charges and it goes out and it's running and all that. What I'm going to do then is take that bulb out and check it again, because all I can think, and I'd be interested in any comments from any K1100 owners, maybe I am getting that charge circuit to excite even with the bulb not illuminating because of resistance in a bad contact. If when I connect all this lot up, everything works, it's obviously a bad contact on the multi-pin plug, and or an intermittent bulb or whatever, or a dirty connection inside this copper. But once everything's clean and connected up and it's working, maybe it was still generating enough resistance in that dirty circuit to excite the charge current. I don't know. So I'll know that if I take the plug out, the bulb out, once I know all connections are clean, and then what I'm hoping for is it will stop charging and do what it's supposed to do. If it does that, we know it was a high resistance dirty connection that was still causing it to charge, if that makes sense. So I'm going to wait for these bulbs to arrive, get everything cleaned up now, ready for them, put them all in, and then we're going to try that what I've just described. Okay, so it's 6:10. They've just arrived. It looks genuine. The packaging doesn't look copied or anything, so hopefully they are genuine Osram ones. That's 10. So I'm going to put these in now, and I'll just show you putting the desiccant in and putting the back on. So I'll get the bulbs fitted first. So all the bulbs are in now. Before we put the desiccant in and the back on, I'm just going to try it, so you're seeing it live with me, and I'm going to do that test. Start it up and then take the bulb out. See if the bulbs come on, and then take it out. So I'll explain that again as I'm doing it. So I'm going to nip straight to the car now, because it's getting a bit late and I want to get everything recorded today. Okay, so I'm filming this the next day now, but the next bit you're going to see with it in action was filmed last night before I put the stuff away. Now, as you'll see, the ignition bulb is in place and it's working, and it goes out when I fire it up. When I go and check the voltage, you'll see that even on tick over, it's showing right round at 13.5, 14 volts. I don't have to rev it, so this is important. I hadn't noticed it at the time, but if you notice that now, and then you'll see a slight difference later on when the bulb is out. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, we've got it temporarily hooked up, so first of all, let's go and turn the ignition on. I've not tried it myself yet. And see if them lights come on. Yeah, well, that's great. So both red lights are on now. And let's see if they go out when we start it. Okay, so that's good. They've both gone out. So let's see if it's charging. Turn the socket on. And yeah, you can see it is fully charging. So let's go and take that bulb out now and see if it stops it charging. So like I say, make a mental note of that. It's just on tick over now. I've not revved it, and it's showing right over. I haven't needed to rev it to get it up that way. So like I just said, let's go and take the bulb out now and see what it's like with the ignition bulb not in place. Okay, so I've taken that bulb out now. See, there it is. The ignition bulb. We'll turn the ignition on. So we've only got the oil, and the temperature one this time has come on. But as you can see, the one here, which is your ignition one, is not on now. So I'm hoping this time it doesn't charge. If it does, it makes a mockery of this. You do need a working bulb for it to charge business. Start it up. Turn it on. And I'll rev it. Yeah, that is still charging. That is charging even with a dud bulb. So, not what I was expecting. I was expecting it not to charge whatsoever with the bulb out, but as you just saw then, it does. But there is a difference. There is that slight difference. With the bulb in place, as it should be, even on tick over, it shoots right round the alternator and shows it's putting in 13.5, 14 volts. I don't have to rev it. It'll do that even at tick over. With the bulb out, it shows it's not sort of charging, or only maybe a bit at tick over, and I've got to rev it to boost that voltage up. That is normal revs when you're driving along anyway. You won't be just ticking over, would you? So yes, it's going to charge even with the bulb blown. So like I said, I don't know what that theory is, and in all the things, all the forums, like I say, I've read, and the Facebook pages on the K1100, that you do need that bulb to be intact for it to charge. In my case, you don't, and it's nothing now to do with high resistance in wiring or anything like that. All them joints are perfectly cleaned and everything, so I don't know. But yeah, I am glad there is a difference, but I'd have preferred it to be just not charging whatsoever. But at least I know if my bulb blows that it will still charge. So that's it. We've sorted out that business now. I didn't need to do it, but I'm glad I did. It's all new bulbs in there now, and it's done. It's settled my mind. So you may remember early on I said even with that little screw out, the one that sheared off that was inset, it was a pig to undo. So what I've done, I've greased it round there with some silicone grease, all round the bits that touch each other. Obviously keeping it well clear of the contacts, and I'll show you that now. Okay, so you can see the bolt I've put in there now, instead of the inset one which went flush under here and would have been and was an absolute pig to get out because the socket had worn out or dropped off. I've put that one on which actually sticks proud, so I can get a socket on that from now on. So I suggest you do that if you've got the inset one. And what I'm going to do now is, you can see all the things. Don't be tempted to clean these with a wire brush, scrub inside with a wire brush, because some of these may be permanently live. I don't know. But there may well be a permanently live, and if there is, you're going to, an any or a negative or whatever, you're going to shorten them out. So what I'm going to do is just spray some contact cleaner in them. But just do that on each one with a pin, a needle, piece of steel wire, as long as it goes down the bore. I'm just using copper wire. Just sort of like gently scrape the side, any deposits that may be on it. So I'll just do that for all of them now. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a very thin layer of silicone grease just on the edges of the plug here, well away from any electrical contact. But as I mentioned, it was an absolute pig to get out this. So as long as you keep it away from the pins, hopefully when I have to take it out again it'll come out a bit easier, because it really was stiff in there. And I could also now take all these labels off, because I won't be able to cut this wiring loom, so no need for all these blue 1, blue 2, stuff like that off. So get them back off now and get it back in its shroud. So like I say, I thought the greasing it would make it easier to remove next time. And don't forget, you're at arm's length in there, and there's no way you can get a pair of grips in, big grips, because there's just not enough room. So I tried it there in the out position, and it was still really hard to undo. So I rigged this up. Let's have a look what I've rigged up, and it'll make it a lot easier to get out next time. So what I've done, I've drilled through here, well clear of any wiring and sockets and stuff like that, short tiny stubby screws. I've put 2 straps in. I've also written 7mm socket on there, because that's the bolt I'll be using to keep it in. And I've put these 2 little, I forget what you call them, this strapping you can get. And I'll show you, we're putting a bit of wire through that, how easy it is to pull out. So you can see that's pushed fully in now, and to try and get it under there with your hands, it's very hard to pull it off while way under the bonnet there. You can't get grips in, it's just too tight. So take the little bolt out, and if I need to pull it out in future, I can just thread this through easily from underneath, and then I can lead this right out into space around here, and that makes it a lot easier to pull out. So that's a little tip if you're going to do that, and I've printed on it 7mm socket, as you can see. So yeah, I would definitely recommend doing something like that to get it out easier next time. I'm hoping there won't be a next time for quite a while anyway, but yeah, next time I come to do it, that nut's going to be easy to get out. Even if it gets rounded off, I could grind a slot in it because it's proud of the surface, and I can easily get something round them clamps to pull it out. And like I said, the screws holding them are way clear of any wiring or any plugs. So that's it. Now it's all in place. I've bolted it all up. I've pushed that thing home. I've tightened it up. All the connections are clean. Oh, by the way, earlier on when we were doing it and the temperature light wasn't on, that must have been just the plug not plugged fully in, because every time I've tried it since when it's been in, all three of them red lights have come on. So they're coming on every single time now and going out when it's running. So let's give it that final test in place, and we'll see that voltmeter and discuss after this. Okay, one last time now. It's all back in place, plugs in place. Turn the ignition on. All three of them lights are coming on, as is the choke. I shall turn the voltmeter on, and let's see what happens when we start it. Okay, so all them lights go out. So I don't know whether you noticed then, but I did. That voltmeter was responding a lot better. Even just on tick-over where it's going rum, 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 you could see it going up on that slight increase in revs, just the up and down of the tick-over. Before you couldn't do that, you didn't see that, it was just steady and it didn't shoot up until you revved it. So yeah, it seems to have done something, but like I said, I'm glad now all bulbs are replaced, all connections are clean. I know I can get it out easy next time, and I'm not going to have any trouble. Now, a couple of things I would recommend if you're doing this. One, once you've got that back off, before you put it back on, stick some of them bags of DESICCANT. They're readily available. You've probably got a few in a drawer from various items you've bought. They do help soak up the moisture before it starts misting up inside. Like I say, I've increased it to 4 bags this time. Now when it comes to LEDs, like I say, I'd already replaced all the green backlight LEDs. If I was going to do this from scratch, I'd probably buy that kit I showed you from eBay, where every bulb in it, the green ones and all the white ones for the high beam and the warning lights and everything, are all included for 20 quid. Now, like I say, in there, for the ignition one, maybe it has got enough resistance that you'd have to try that to see if you're getting the right results. But the worst case scenarios, you could just put a normal bulb, like I've replaced, for the ignition, and be LEDs for everything else. The brighter, they last longer and everything. So that's the route I'd go down if you're starting from scratch. I also noticed on my LEDs, the 4 corner ones, they are like a normal LED is. If you put them in the wrong way around, they don't light up. If you didn't know, a bulb, you can connect either way around, but an LED will only illuminate with current flow in one way. But the middle one, the bigger one that I showed you, the multifaceted one, you can put that in either way around and it will glow green. So yeah, that must be some sort of special one, but it glows green either way around that. Also, with that back off, many years ago when I did the LEDs, there is a screw in there somewhere on the end of a potentiometer. I didn't have a close look this time, I can't remember where it is, but there's instructions somewhere online, and you can adjust your speedo in there. Mine, when I first bought the car 16 years ago, was over registering what speed you were doing. Is it over or under? I can't remember. but according to the GPS, it was a good sort of like 10 mile an hour different, the car. So I looked up online, and you can alter it under there. I tweaked it. It tells you how much to turn it and which way. And I did it just at absolute midges, probably like 1 degree or something. And I was lucky, that was spot on. So the speed shown now is the actual speed you're going. The odometer is still inaccurate. That might be to do with the size of the Grinnell's back wheel, I don't know. But they all seem to register 10% more than you've done. So if it's showing 40,000 miles, you've only actually done 36,000 miles. So that's it, all done. Another in the Scorpion series of videos. Hope it's been of interest to people who haven't got Scorpion as well. Like I say, any K1100 owner, the bike may be of interest to you, showing you what is in the back of that instrument cluster. Oh, I nearly forgot. I will be putting links to the items used, the 2 different sorts of bulbs, and underneath they are Amazon affiliated links. So if you click on them, I get a small commission. Doesn't cost you any extra, but if you buy anything from that browsing session, I get a few pennies commission. The same with eBay. I'll put the link to the LED set that I showed you earlier on eBay. Like I say, it's not the set I fitted. I can't remember where I bought that from, but like I say, if you wanted to go the whole LED route, that's a suitable set from eBay. Okay, so hopefully it's been of some use, this video. Again, a bit more specialised, so sorry to my normal subscribers who are probably waiting for just a normal review on a gadget from Lidl's or something. Been in again today, nothing took me fancy in Lidl's, but I'm sure something will come up, Lidl's or otherwise, in just a more generic gadget for you all to see. So thanks again if you made it all this way to the end. I very, very much appreciate it. And like I say, hopefully it has been of some use to somebody. If you haven't subscribed, please click the little picture here of the shed. Once you've done that, click the bell icon below and you'll be informed of any new uploads as soon as I do them. So I'll catch you for the next review, whatever that may be. Bye for now.